Hi, hello, it's Chitty. And today I want to talk about one of my most ambitious DIY projects. Now this DIY project is a giant gingerbread house room, but it was even harder than me painting my kitchen. I'm not gonna lie, okay? This project was full of surprises, from material issues to spacing issues, but I learned a lot along the way, and I want to share with you the process and the challenges. So, let's go. Now this is what you clicked on my video for. Is it edible? No. But does it look good? Heck yeah. Stick around so you can hear my plan to create it, the process, and some short DIY videos afterwards. Alrighty, now let's talk about the plan. The goal was simple: to turn an ordinary room into a life-size gingerbread village. Think oversized candy canes, frosting-covered walls, and decorations so sweet they'd make Willy Wonka jealous. Here's what I envisioned: foam frosting for the 3D roof, colorful candy pops that would be self-made or, store-bought, and lights to tie everything all together. Every detail was meant to scream gingerbread house magic. Why do all of this? Because who doesn't like a little bit of chaos during the holiday season? And also, my sister asked me if I could do this. It seemed kind of cool. Now this sketch of my gingerbread house, this was supposed to be it. This was the goal. Was it ambitious? A little bit. But I thought I would have enough time to create and bring my vision to life. Okay? Because technically I had a month to do this. But if you don't know, I work and I study. I do have a life besides YouTube. YouTube is just a hobby. But what happened was I ended up only having a week to create this. And the candy was going to take majority of my time. But I had trouble transporting the foam because the foam was about 4 by 8 feet. And I needed 2 sheets. Okay? I have a small sedan. There was no way in heck that thing was going to fit on there, man. I had to borrow my sister's car and it still wouldn't fit. I had to tie it to the roof with industrial rope. And that thing was trying to fly off. I had to pray a couple times so that it wouldn't. Ooh, it was stressful because sometimes the drive from Home Depot to my house was supposed to be 15 minutes. I ended up getting home in almost 50. When I had to transport it to the house that I actually needed to go to, it was a 20-minute drive from my house to that house. It took me an hour. It took me a whole hour to get there. You know how slow I was driving? I was driving 10 miles per hour, making sure that this thing wouldn't fly off. Because I couldn't tie it too tight where it would mess up the foam, and I couldn't do it too loose where it would fall off. I had to find a nice little medium, but let me tell you, the medium was not mediuming. Okay. Now, straight off the bat, the room I was supposed to be working in was not cleared out. I was promised that this would be clean, clear, free of clutter, but that was not the case. And so already I knew I might have a couple of issues because I need space to work on this gingerbread house. But where there's a will, there's a way. So immediately, the stuff being in the room is not going to stop me. I went ahead and I set up my styrofoam onto this wall to see exactly how big I wanted my house to be. And honestly, I was going for the bigger the better. So here I'm using a broomstick because, the best supplies are free. The best supplies to use are ones that you already have on your hand. So I went ahead and I put my broomstick here to kind of see how I wanted my house, the roof to be, how slanted I want it to be. And then once I got my line or my correct shape, I went ahead and I started cutting out the house. Now cutting out the house was actually pretty easy. I don't know if you've ever tried to cut foam board with the saw, but it's like butter. Almost exactly like butter. There is no resistance, whatsoever. After I cut off the roof of the house, I went ahead and took off the little foil part so I can see what I'm actually working with. And after that, I was like, hey, let me try to, draw the other side, get everything correct, measure up the broomstick, and it's gonna look so nice, It wasn't turning out how I wanted it to. So I had a brilliant plan of what to take my left side and put it over my right side and just outline it, and then cut it from there. Now this was a much better idea of trying to draw both sides because I had tried to do that multiple times and it wasn't turning out right. But afterwards, the house looks like a house. It's starting a house. The house is housing. The sides look pretty even for the most part, and I'm happy with that. Now, again, I don't have a lot of space, and my plan
plan was to sort of kind of paint this standing up, but I was like, there are so many places that are being blocked off. This isn't gonna work out. So I'm gonna put this on the floor, and I only have space on the floor for one side. And the paint job was looking a little splotchy, but then after I finished, I was like, oh, this looks more realistic. It looks more like a gingerbread house than if it would be if everything was solid, one color. Now, after painting the side of the gingerbread house, I wanted to start working on the roof. And the roof isn't gonna be too thick. I just needed like a base for the insulation foam. And so I just took like a couple inches off the piece I already cut off, and I went and I hot glued it onto the house. It is a little bit short, and there are areas I need to cut off. So I did, and then I also added an extra piece to the end right there with hot glue. After that, I used my insulation foam and started spraying. But here's the thing about insulation foam. You should be wearing goggles, and you absolutely should be wearing gloves because it does have irritant in it that can irritate your skin. But one thing that wasn't really advertised was wearing a mask. Let me tell you something. When you're working with something like this, make sure you have the proper PPE. And even if you think you have everything absolutely normal for a project like this, do everything you can and more to protect yourself. Because I wished that I had worn a mask the first day of me working on this project. Spraying the insulation foam was actually pretty fun. It was like you're working with like giant icing, and it slowly starts to expand, which is pretty cool. While the insulation foam was still wet, I went ahead and placed ball pit balls in a little bit of a design to make it look like you're putting jawbreakers onto the roof of the house. This one side actually took about 1.5 cans of foam. During this time, my sister actually came back and she was able to help move the stuff out of the room so I had more space, because I kept telling her, hey, I can't visualize exactly how I'm supposed to work with this house because both sides are on the floor. It was kind of frustrating because I had this vision, but I was like, I don't know if it's spaced out correctly because I can't see it. I can't see it. So finally, both sides are on the floor. I can see it. The vision is visioning. I placed my candies in the areas I want it to be so I can see, oh, does this look good? Or, oh, let me move this to the left, to the right, to something like that. Now, another dilemma I was having with this house was that there weren't any outlets that are pretty close to me, and I didn't have an extension cord. So unfortunately, I had to plug in my hot glue gun. I had to wait for it to heat up. And then once it heat up, I'd unplug it, run really fast to the spot that I needed to hot glue, and then I would do it really quick before my gun cooled down. And I kept doing that over and over again until I was done with this project. So you're gonna see me running from place to place with my little cord dangling somewhere, and me hot gluing like my life depends on it. Now, I wasn't aiming for perfection. I was aiming to get this done because by the time I actually started to work on the gingerbread house, after running around for supplies and doing the candy days prior, it was the night before. And even this day, I had work. So after work, I was still running around for supplies. Then I got to this place and I was trying to paint, but I kept hitting so many roadblocks, to where I was still working on this project until 11:30 at night. Mind you, the party was the next day at 5 p.m. and I had work in the morning. So parts of my vision had to be cut out. I took my broomstick to kind of level everything out, and then I kind of pushed it to the other side to make sure that that side was level as well. Afterwards, I took this stick that is used to stir paint to sort of see how long or see the width of my windows so I can compare it to both sides and make sure that it would be the right length on both sides. And then you're gonna see me with my hot glue gun again, trying to glue the yarn down like my life depends on it. Yep. Now the door is actually pretty easy. I don't know if you've seen my hot chocolate video, but in a similar fashion that I created the peppermint stick or the candy cane, it's similar to how I made these. But I didn't use poster paper, I actually used the tubes left over for wrapping paper and spray painted it white, and then I added vinyl paper to it. And then you just see me trying to adjust everything to make sure that the door looks. But I can't glue the door down yet just because this house has to be put onto the wall, and the both sides of the wall are not connected to each other, so I didn't want it to break off. And it's starting to come together. I'm liking it. But my sister changed her mind of how she wanted the room. Now, I don't know if I told you, but originally this wasn't just supposed to be like a gingerbread house. I was supposed to turn the entire room into a giant gingerbread house village. So this big wall on my right side was supposed to be the village, and then this box shaped wall, this protruding wall, was supposed to be where the gingerbread house was supposed to go. Now she switched up. So this wall, where the gingerbread house was originally supposed to go, she wanted to turn it into a giant present, because she was like, when people first walk in, I want them to see the house. But if the house is to the left, they won't see it if they're just walking past. So day 2, of the giant gingerbread house. We're working on turning this wall into a present. And let me tell you, the wrapping paper did not want to stay, just like my ex-boyfriend. I'm just kidding. Oh. This wrapping paper did not want to stay. The perimeter of the wall was too dirty, or my tape wasn't strong enough, and it was just not working out. My sister and I, we kept trying, and it wasn't working, so we had to ask a third person for help, and it still wasn't working. So eventually one of us had to go out and get packaging tape, and that tape was finally strong enough to hold everything. My sister was thinking of putting a bow there to make it look more present-like somewhere on this wall, but I was like, hey, I know we have the star that I made here, and you have exactly figured out where to put it. And I was like, what if we just hang it over this wall so you can still showcase it? And that's what we ended up doing with this wall. And the moment we've all been waiting for, finally putting up this house. I was actually kind of afraid of this part just because there was one side that wasn't fully covered with insulation foam the previous night. So today, I had my sister spray the insulation foam after I got another can, and it was just kind of a waiting game to see, will it dry fast enough so we can put it up. But thankfully it stayed. And then I went ahead and screwed in some screws into the wall through the styrofoam first. So finally, I could put on my door. I can visualize everything. Everything's turning out pretty good so far. I took out my couch stuffing and I separated it and put it onto the floor so it can act as the fake snow. And then originally I didn't know what to do with these candy bars. I was kind of like, what do I do? But I just decided to put it on both sides of the house. So if people wanted to, they could pick it up and play with them or whatnot. Or just looks like, it looks more like a gingerbread house. And then all the mints that I created, I went ahead and put double-sided tape onto the back of them and just stuck them onto the wall to make sure that they wouldn't fall off. And this was so much faster than the actual process of creating this thing. I was doing this for hours, and this was yeah. I also went ahead and took some candies that I made from earlier and just placed them around the house and threw some more ball pit balls just to get rid of all of them and act like, we have some more candy around here. But yeah, this entire process was actually pretty lengthy, and I'm surprised that I've summarized this down to this short of a video, and there's a lot more stuff that happened, but anyways, it's finished. And there are a lot of things I learned while creating this, and I'm actually pretty grateful because I know that now if I were to ever recreate a gingerbread house, I know exactly what I would do to make it better, and I would definitely give myself more time to create my vision. So, what are your thoughts on a gingerbread house? And what's something that you would do differently? Let me know in the comment section. And if you would like to see how I created smaller candies, stick around for after this gingerbread house because I have some short DIYs for you. Alrighty, now let's start with the chocolate bars. The chocolate bars were actually the easiest part of the gingerbread house. Now these clear trays, I actually got them from Walmart. They came in a pack of 3, and I just got some dark brown spray paint and just did a couple coats, and bam, there you go. Now, if you've seen my lollipop video, this hard candy is actually very similar as far as the process of creating it. So you're gonna start off by gluing the 2 bowls with hot glue, and then after that, you're gonna take your cellophane or your clear wrapping paper and wrap your candy and then tape it. Once you're done wrapping the candy and putting your tape on it, you're gonna go ahead and kind of scrunch the sides and then wrap those sides with your clear tape. And then lastly, you're gonna kind of want to puff out the ends to get more of that, oh, this came out of the bag type of feel. This was the second easiest candy to make. Now, my third candy was actually supposed to be a giant ball of Ferrero Rocher. I took some bouncy balls, some big bouncy balls that you can get like in a kid's play section, and I took some foil, and then I wrapped the ball with the foil. But I wanted to have that crinkle look to it, so I went ahead and kind of pressed my fingers into the foil to give it like more like wrinkles or indentations to look as closely as a Ferrero Rocher ball as much as possible. After that, I just took some gold spray paint and went ahead and covered the entire ball of foil. Now, this was the easiest part of the candy, and honestly, I created 2 different versions of this candy because I couldn't get the wrapper part correctly on the bottom, the brown part with like the gold stripes on it. I couldn't figure it out. But on the second round, I actually did get it, but I didn't get the process of making it, unfortunately. But I at least have a picture of what it looks like from afar, and it looks pretty darn good. I liked it. The only thing is I didn't add bands of gold to it, and I feel like that would help complete the look. Now the fourth candy that I'm creating is actually another chocolate bar. However, I wanted two versions of this one because I knew I wasn't going to use it on the actual face of the house. I wanted it to be kind of candy that you can carry if you wanted to, or even like be able to take pictures with. So I spray painted this or these the same time I did with the other chocolate bars at the beginning of the video. However, with these, I went ahead and outlined them on a piece of cardboard, cut out their shape, and then I went ahead and spray painted one side. This cardboard not only helped the chocolate to look more opaque, but I like how it closed off the back and was like it made it a full chocolate bar, because we went ahead and we added wrapping to make it look like, you know, like one of those like emojis in your phone of the chocolate bars. So after I hot glued the cardboard to the chocolate bar, I went ahead and took out a piece of foil, pretty lengthy. I went ahead and folded one edge, but I made sure that the shiny part would be facing outwards. And then I wrapped the candy bar with the foil, but I later realized that this probably wasn't a good idea. So I went and undid it, and then I went and took my red table cover from Dollar Tree, and then went ahead and sort of inserted the table cover underneath the fold, and then covered it with the foil, and then wrapped the actual chocolate bar with this. And then I found a good place to fold everything and cut everything. Another thing about this chocolate bar is that although the first chocolate bars or the trays we got were from Walmart, these were actually from Dollar Tree. Now, these foam circles, let me tell you something. There was about 32 of them. I hand painted each and every one. Because I originally tried to go ahead and spray paint these red to like give me like a base color and then add some like swirl later on, which might have been easier, but I'll never know because I'll never know because I learned that spray paint eats styrofoam. Who would think that would happen? Oh my gosh, but no, who knew that spray paint would eat styrofoam? I did it. Excuse me. But anyways, that messed up my plans just a little bit, so I couldn't spray paint anymore. And that's when I came up with the idea of, let me hand paint this. And let me tell you something. When I first started hand painting all of these, I could finish one in about 5 minutes. There was a point where I had painted half of them, about 16, and it took me about 2 hours, because I got tired. But anyways, as far as these candies, I'm gonna start with the one that I actually liked the most, the design that I liked the best. So with these, I went ahead and I wanted something to help center me. So I got a lotion bottle back to act as my center and also to give me a place of where to like aim towards. And then I got a pen, and the tip of the pen acted as like a measurement of how long I wanted the stripe to be. So I painted the length of the pen, and the pen also acted as a ruler to see the width between each stripe. And then I just kept doing that over and over and over again until I reached the end of the circle. And then after I completed that, I went ahead and I painted downwards on the stripes. Now that's the first one. As far as the second one, kind of just like 3 stripes, kind of just eyeballed it. I tried to find my own center with my own eyes. I would draw out 2 lines to mark 1 stripe, and I would keep doing that for 2 other stripes. After that, I just went ahead and I dragged my pen down a little bit diagonally, and then I got a little stencil kind of going on there, and I just painted. For this next one, I actually wanted 4 stripes. So similar to how we did 2 stripes per stripe for the 3 striped one, I did 2 stripes for each one here, but you're doing 4 stripes in total. And then after you do that, you're gonna drag down your pen, and then you're gonna go ahead paint. And also when I was painting, I made sure to use a thin brush, as thin as possible, to get like the finer lines. And then when there's a lot of space, I made sure to just use a thicker brush to just cover more ground. And then my last one here, I kind of messed up on it, but I was like, you know, I could still try to make something pretty out of this one. So this one is 6 stripes, and it's kind of the same gist as the other 2. I'm just making sure that, you know, you have the right number of stripes. Alrighty. I'll see you next time.